Experimental Betty here, and I wanted to give you sort of a monthly overall version of the daily medical astrology prediction. So this is sort of April's monthly prediction, and I'm not going to go into big details with this video because all of the daily videos are more detailed. So overall for April, we have two major aspects that are going to possibly be impacting our health, physical and mental. And with one of these aspects, especially if your physical illness, if you have some sort of mystery illness, especially if it's something like mold illness, if you have some sort of mystery illness and it was really triggered by something emotional or psychological, then April's going to be a big month where you can heal that sort of thing. So some people believe that all physical illness is preceded by emotional trauma, and whether you believe that or not, there's definitely some interplay between the two things, because we are both a physical body and a spiritual, emotional body, and we have a lot of interesting aspects happening with the moon this month and the moon's north and south node. So the first aspect I want to talk about is Pluto conjunct the south node, which I will get into more detail in another video. But overall this month, you're really kind of looking at the possibility of something like mold illness, some sort of mystery illness, some sort of parasite, fungus, or something like that, but especially in relation to it being triggered by emotional trauma, because Pluto is very karmic. Pluto symbolizes karmic DNA, which would be something that you have to break the cycle of, something that you were sent here on earth to heal. So this is the very definition of our spiritual and physical body not being separate from each other. And I'm recording this April 4th. You may have noticed last night, and you may notice tonight, that there is a lot of emotional trauma clearing out. It may be happening in your dreams. You may not remember your dreams, but you may wake up with a feeling that it happened in your dreams. Last night, I literally dreamed that my masculine and feminine energy became integrated. I literally had visions of Mars and Venus sort of swapping their characteristics in a way, which is really interesting because right before that, I had dreamt about a friend of mine's Mars in their 11th house. And I woke up and I started thinking about it, and I pulled up their birth chart and I looked at some aspects, and there was a square coming from Saturn, and the Mars was in Scorpio. So you can draw your own conclusions if you want, but it got me really thinking. And then I couldn't go back to sleep. And right after that, I had this like really crazy realization about one of my spirit guides being a soulmate that died without me ever knowing. I mean, he died like 12 years ago, and I just found out like last month. So anyway, there's been a lot of like really crazy karmic stuff happening, but I'm sort of a recovering misandrist. Like, I don't hate men, but I definitely used to. And I think all of that happening last night was really kind of like the end of it. And that's kind of what Pluto conjunct the South Node can do. It can end those types of traumas. So that's going to be a big theme for the entire month, for the whole month of April. And it will manifest with health issues, or it could manifest as you healing health issues. The South Node is mystery illness. The South Node is like weird stuff that you just can't figure out. It's latent viruses, latent bacteria, parasites that are not easily detected with blood tests, because we know that, or not blood tests, but stool sample, because we know that parasites are just not easy to detect. So Pluto and the South Node are going to be conjunct in Capricorn in terms of medical astrology. Capricorn rules the skeletal system as a system, but it primarily rules the joints, and even more specifically, it's usually the knees. And it can also symbolize teeth, but for the most part, it's knees. And it's, you know, it's an earth sign, so you're looking at sort of a lethargic or heavy feeling. So we also have some stuff going on in Pisces that I'll talk about for the month of April, which could also make you kind of dreamy and tired and like needing a nap. So there's a big energy of almost slowing down, at least for the first part of April, but there's also a big energy of change. So it can be an inward change that leads to an outward change. Pluto also rules autophagy, which is like programmed cell death, just like normal everyday your body digesting and getting rid of old proteins that are broken and not serving you anymore, and then you regenerate them, and that's Pluto. Pluto is transformation, karmic DNA. So this is going to be a great time for autophagy, and fasting is my favorite way to do autophagy. You can fat fast and still have autophagy happen. So you can do something like butter coffee or fat bombs only. You know, also you can have water and electrolytes, but you know, no carbohydrate, no protein, and you will put your body into autophagy. Now, there's a lot of representation of the immune system and immune disease, especially innate immune and autoimmune, things that are hard to detect and usually considered mystery illnesses or invisible illnesses. That's carried over from both the aspect happening in Capricorn with the Pluto and South Node conjunct, as well as a stellium happening in Pisces. So there's going to be a lot of that energy this month, and when I get into the daily predictions, you'll also see that there's a lot happening with aspects in Cancer, and Cancer is lymphatic and immune disease. There's also some central nervous stuff here, depending on what's in your birth chart, which I'll go into a little bit more in the daily videos, but you may be getting some headaches this month, some like tension headaches. Capricorn's also mineral balance because it is the skeletal system. So you want to make sure that your minerals are balanced this month. Again, that could be the cause of some headaches, but it's also going to benefit your ability to clear out old trauma, because when you have your minerals balanced, you can open your third eye a lot easier. What else? Oh yeah, Pluto, it can also be like disordered thinking. So this is a good time to let go of compulsions or addictions or that ego voice telling you that you have to do something right now. Like you have to have sugar right now. Like that's Pluto. And because Pluto's also transformation, this is a great time to try and purge that sort of behavior, especially food addiction. There's going to be at least one aspect happening in the second half of April that has to do with Jupiter, and it can kind of symbolize that overeating, that food addiction. So that's something that you'll be able to work on this month. But also the other aspect that's happening big for April is the stellium in Pisces. And I think this is the last day, April 4th, maybe, of the moon being in Pisces. It's going to move into Aries. But for the past, few days, we've had Venus, Neptune, Mercury, and the moon all in Pisces. So talk about, third eye being open. And for me, my natal moon is at 17 degrees Pisces. So Neptune has just been activating the fuck out of it for like a while now. But for overall April, I'm going to focus on the Mercury and Neptune because it's really at the right place in the fixed stars for it to matter for medical astrology. So with the stellium, we're looking at nervous system, your brain, thinking, again, because that's Mercury. It can be digestion because it does rule Virgo, and Virgo rules the 6th house. All of that is digestion and health. I'm actually seeing intuitively that this is going to be related to thyroid and the respiratory system. Again, there were so many clues that mold illness could be an issue for you in April. And I'm not just saying that because I've dealt with mold illness for, so long, and so many of my clients, my self-healers, have mold illness, but really there were a lot of kind of mystery illness aspects here that really translate to mold illness. So, and even Pisces is water, So if you've had a leak or some sort of running water that was like water damage, then this could be affecting your health. If you're having some weird, like mysterious endocrine, respiratory, fungal infection, candida type things. So don't overlook this. And usually underlying mold illness, you have things like parasites and latent bacteria and viruses like EBV or staph or strep. And a lot of that can happen in your nose too, because your nose has a microbiome very similar to the one in your gut. And it's very related to mold illness, especially if you have some types of staph in your nasal cavity. So this is going to be something to really think about if you're having mystery illness issues this month. And it is usually triggered by some sort of psychological or emotional trauma. It's not the reason for it, but it's the trigger. So Pisces is integumentary. This can show up in rashes. Later this month, we'll have some aspects with fire, but very little. We'll have the Jupiter aspect is in Sagittarius. That can be histamine. So you could be seeing rashes. You could actually, at some point, depending on what's in your natal chart, you could actually be seeing some acne come up, even if you don't normally have acne. You can have constipation or diarrhea with the stellium in Pisces, honestly. That's how it would affect your digestion. Later on in the month, we'll also see that your digestive enzyme production could be decreased as well because of an aspect happening with Saturn. But again, more stuff having to do with humidity, fungus, colds, water, immune system. You could be feeling depleted, depressed, tired, that sort of thing because, of the Neptune, and then also the stuff happening in Capricorn. But I think my camera's about to die, so I'm gonna wrap it up, and I will see you in some daily videos later this week. And I'm so grateful to be in your orbit.
They tell me aim for the moon, and maybe I'll land on a star. But the things that I see, that's what's really gonna take you far. Do you even know how truly bright you are? You shine a new light in my whole world, yeah, you truly are. The sweetest, I mean this forever and all. My heart, not yours, forever I'm dark.